What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Guys, we are here back in Scandinavia. We got Natasha Bergen with what I learned about Scandinavia. Now, I know I have my fair share of a little time there in Scandinavia, particularly two countries, Sweden and Denmark. But let's see where she touched ground at. She's going to be telling us the difference between the three. I didn't get a chance to go to Norway, but I love Norway, man. Even one of my favorite shows was in Norway, so that's always pretty cool when I think about it and stuff. But Natasha's here giving us her experience traveling to Scandinavia. I don't know where she's from. I didn't go into a deep dive into where she's from, but let's see what she learned.
Did I learn about Scandinavia? That I love it.
When you travel to a country or consider a place as your home, you need to know what makes it worth it for you. What things can you do? What are the people like? How's the culture? What's the best travel route?
In the northern part of Europe lies
true.
Scandinavia, which consists of 3 countries: Denmark, Norway, and Sweden. And the Nordics includes Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Iceland.
Over the last 4 years, I've been traveling to different parts of Scandinavia,
Nice.
breaking the bank just to explore and have authentic experiences.
You definitely break the bank, but it's a good break the bank, because like she said, this is stuff that goes in that memory book,
I'm a Canadian who currently calls Barcelona a base as I climb the highest peak in every European country. And I've learned that Scandinavia is where my heart belongs.
That's nice.
It's so heartwarming. I'll tell you why through hundreds of hours of research, my stories,
Ooh.
and first-hand observations.
I was there.
Of hours of research, my stories, and first.
Where is this? Was this it? I think I seen this in Denmark. I actually seen these. I think I seen this in Denmark. She got to be in Denmark. Y'all let me know in the comments. But I seen those. I got a bad knee, so I couldn't try to attempt it. But nah, this seem like a TV show or something. Like this should be a TV show. I don't know. I will watch it.
Hand observations.
I will watch a TV
One
show,
of the
and we only
things
50
that
seconds in.
draws me to Scandinavia is the nature. And this is coming from a Canadian. There's this freedom to roam. Sweden has the best deal here. They have allemansrätten.
So you can camp anywhere you want as long as you're not destroying, disturbing, or camping in somebody's garden.
If you love nature, you will love Sweden for this reason. Norway also has a similar freedom, but it's not as open as Sweden. But what is really cool is they actually have mountain huts in certain parts of Norway.
Oh, wow.
And I learned this because my idea was to go and visit one of these, but due to financial constraints, I couldn't make it happen. That means I have to go back. What's cool about these mountain huts, from what I know, is there are some that are completely free. There are some where you pay a small fee, and there are some where you have to be part of a membership community. Now, Denmark, as far as I know, they don't really have this freedom to roam because it's such a small country in comparison to the others. Yeah. And so there's not a lot of public land to really roam around. Denmark is tiny. I think if you really wanted to, you could drive from the northernmost point all the way to the southernmost point in a day, hands down.
I mean, yeah, that's probably true, especially just looking at the map. You can see that it's very, very much more smaller than the other two. But I love it.
Other countries, they're a lot larger.
I love trains.
If you did want to go from Stockholm to Kiruna, it's a 16-hour train ride.
Oh,
there's a certain time of year that comes
16 hours?
around where you have the midnight sun. And this is exactly what you might think it is. At midnight, there is sun. There is no darkness. Yeah. And the crazy contrast.
See, when I was in Sweden, I know I was just in Stockholm, but the sun still didn't go down till about almost midnight.
Night, there is sun. There is no darkness. And the crazy contrast to this is some parts of these countries won't get any sun at all for several months. I've read a lot in comments in my videos that the darkness people experience during these few months is really difficult for some.
Darkness.
The very first time I went to Scandinavia was to Gothenburg in Sweden. So here I am, Gothenburg. I don't have a plan. I don't really know where I'm going. I know I'm gonna head towards the water. It's not the capital city.
I gotta go
it's
there,
like
Nick.
the second city. It was during the pandemic, and Sweden was, I think, the only country in Europe that had different restrictions or no restrictions. Oh, I hope this thing doesn't have corona. When I was in a really strict lockdown in Spain, it took a toll on my mental health, as I'm sure it's happened to a lot of people, unfortunately. And I'm really sorry if it affected you. So I took a few days and I went to Gothenburg, and it was magic because it reminded me of home, because I could not go home. I couldn't go to Canada because of these restrictions. And it gave me taste of life again.
So what I'm hearing, it seemed like, you know, once she left, she really couldn't get back because I guess the other countries closing down and stuff. So at this point, you gotta move around where you at. But it's crazy how sometimes in the difficult situation, that's what teaches us most about life, and you start really, you know, you really start thinking about your life and understanding what life really is.
Restrictions. You know? And it gave me
still glad she got
taste
to do this.
of life again.
There's just something about this place that makes me feel so free.
Yeah. You might hear a lot of people will say that people in the Nordics are reserved, quiet, or cold. I would actually say that stereotype is wrong. Sure, they might not come and introduce themselves, give you a big hug as soon as you meet them, like you might experience here in Spain or in Italy. They have this warmth about them.
I think it's more, they don't like the small talk.
When they do say something, they're often really curious, really warm, kind, helpful.
This old man, he stopped me. And he basically told me his life story.
I've only met a few weirdos, to be honest. I don't know if I've ever told you this story.
But I think her experience, like, just from me, I'm a guy. So with her, I'm sure, I can imagine a woman traveling along doing the encounters and stuff gonna be different. Nobody probably will talk to me, but somebody would probably try to talk to her.
But when I was going from Bergen, Norway to Copenhagen, I was taking a ferry to another city, and I was eating my sandwich. And this fellow came over to me. He started speaking to me in Norwegian. I said, I don't understand. And he saw that I had dropped like a shrimp from my sandwich onto my plate. And he reached out to my plate and he grabbed my shrimp. I was like,
oh no.
You can't do that. You have to ask first. Like the most polite
Canadian
thing. Ridiculous. I mean, you'll find all sorts wherever you are. It doesn't matter.
I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe where I am right now. Like, wow.
There were a few occasions where I had to put the people to the test. And just keep in mind, this is a really small cohort of people out of a massive population in a big geographical area. I wanted to hitchhike in Norway. Why did I want to do this? Because the taxi was going to cost me a ridiculous amount of money. And I just couldn't justify it just for a 20-minute drive.
Come on, friends. I'm just like a friendly person just trying to climb a mountain.
I stuck out my thumb. I was on the side of that road for ages.
You will not believe it.
And did somebody ever come and get
The only people that pulled over were a couple of Swedes in their camper van.
Got 23-minute drive left. I got about an hour until the
Sweden. I was like, you never really hear people hitchhiking again. You know, hitchhiking, doing all that.
I stuck my thumb out again. Lo and behold, a few minutes later, a Norwegian fellow pulled over and we chit-chatted all the way up to the base.
Yeah.
He was going to go do Copenhagen by himself, which was really cool. Norwegians just come out of the womb on skis. I swear it. When I came back down, actually 3 French people, they pulled over in their van and brought me down part of the way. To get to the next major city though, an older Norwegian couple and their dog pulled over and they told me about the area, what Lom was like, what life was like there. When it comes to Denmark, I didn't really have much of a need to hitchhike, but It was one of 2 countries in the world where I've actually had somebody pull over and ask me if I wanted a ride.
Oh, nice.
No, I'm going to Ireland. Thank you.
Especially with all that rain, I would have been like, hey, you good? It's pouring out there.
The only other country I've had that was Cyprus, where there's so much hitchhiking. I've had so many amazing encounters.
Yeah, I really haven't seen, like, when it comes to hitchhiking and stuff. You see it in movies, of course, people acting and stuff. But I remember back then, it was a very common thing. It's not out, I feel like it'll be out the norm these days. And just because of what really probably here, I can't even say everywhere, but definitely here in the States.
Interactions, conversations with people from these countries. And I'm a person that often chooses their favorite countries based on the people and actually the culture. If you like this content, please hit the like button.
This burial site is almost a century old.
If you don't know, Norse mythology is heavily woven into the cultures here in all 3 countries. And in particular, in Norway and Denmark, I noticed that there is a lot around trolls.
And keep your eyes peeled for trolls.
In Norway, if you are a child, you will probably be fearful that a troll is going to kidnap you and eat you while you're walking in the forest. And if you're in Denmark, you can actually go on a troll treasure hunt of sorts. There is a famous artist who creates these massive trolls
treasure hunt? That would have been cool.
Old wood and resources that are no longer useful. Vikings is something that you can see across the board. In Sweden, there is Vikings. So there's a beautiful hidden gem, don't tell anybody I told you, called Gotland. And it's this gorgeous island, a 3-hour ferry ride away from Stockholm. It's in the Baltic Sea.
That's my next goal. I remember watching and videos, Gotland, Visby. Pretty nice, pretty cool.
Is that right?
Stuff, man.
This is where you would have found some
stuff.
of the most peaceful Vikings. If you do go to Gotland, download some podcasts about Norse mythology and goat sacrifices while you're camping in your tent.
And they're talking about like sacrifices and like the things that they would do. Not a good thing to listen to before you go to bed in the middle of nature by yourself. A lot of Vikings here in Scandinavia, throughout Scandinavia, were traders. But the ones here in particular in Gotland were trading with Arabs.
In Denmark, I had the opportunity to go see a Viking burial ground.
For hundreds of years,
wow,
it was covered. Only in the 1900s did all of the sand get swept away. And in the 1950s, they started excavating the graves. And that's how we've learned so much about them.
Dang.
It's really interesting. Over the years,
that is very
the way they did the burials changed. So there are some graves where the body was buried in the mound. And there's others where...
I don't even remember hearing that those were graves with some of the video. I feel like I've seen these before.
The body was cremated.
But really, when it comes to Viking stories, heritage, their religion, their way of life, I've really only scratched the surface, and it's something I'm really excited to learn more about. And you know what's really cool? There is a part of Spain in Galicia, and there's this place where Vikings were actually defeated by the Spaniards. I mean, there's a whole video on it. The Vikings had entered into this part to pillage all of the treasures, gold, and riches from the Compostela de Santiago, the big cathedral. And they actually fought them off. So every August in this town, Catoeira, they actually hold a big Viking festival. In Norway, I have an adventure planned to go to a Viking village, but that hasn't happened yet, so I can't speak to it. I know it's a very big deal in Norway. Trolls and Vikings do fit into the realm of culture, traditions, what Scandinavia is, right? There are 2 concepts that I really love. In Denmark, they have hygge, and this is this concept of being cozy, warm, and spending time with friends and family. And it's just this beautiful thing. I also think it's an excuse to eat delicious cake. Over in Sweden, they've got fika.
Fika.
Fika? Fika.
Very long, sweetest fika.
Need to practice. Similar in the sense that you are encouraged to take a break with friends, family, colleagues, and have something sweet, generally. Probably some coffee or some tea, something warm. Again, I take it as a reminder that there's more to life than just work.
Facts.
Fika
That's
brought
a fact.
good vibes.
Let's reel it back into travel and cities. So I've had the opportunity
Capital
to
cities.
visit the 3 capital cities. For Denmark, it's Copenhagen. Norway, it's Oslo. And for Sweden, it's Stockholm.
See, this was my plan. This was my plan to touch all 3, but only had a week to work with just because I had to go back to work and stuff. But originally, I was gonna do Copenhagen, Oslo, Stockholm, or either way. I think Oslo to Stockholm. It looked like the same amount of time because from Copenhagen to Stockholm, it took me about 3 hours, 3 to 4 hours. 4 hours. It took me about 4 hours. But from Copenhagen just to get into Sweden, it took like 20 minutes because it was like right there. I could have went to Gothenburg. I really could have did just Gothenburg and all that. But I went to Stockholm just because this is the capital. So let me go there first. But my next route, definitely going back to Copenhagen, maybe some other smaller towns around there, Gothenburg. I do want to go to Norway.
Copenhagen
Norway
is a
too.
city that really and truly has a lot more to offer than you think it does. This is one of the few cities in the world where I think I would never get bored. That's a bold statement
Facts.
coming from
That's very
somebody who
bold. Look at all those
prefers
bikes.
nature over cities. There is this market. I don't think it's open right now because it's March, but it'll probably be opening soon, called Reffen. One of my friends, she was living in Copenhagen a few years ago and she recommended me to go. And oh my goodness, I recommend you to go. Oslo was
Reffen.
one that I tried really hard to love. But because it is so expensive, I didn't find a lot of things that I could do on a budget.
That's fact.
This will probably be my first and last beer in
How
Norway.
much was it?
This is €11.
Dang.
They've got these food
Dang.
halls that are just incredible. So many different choices. And this fish burger I had, oh my gosh.
burger.
I
Wow,
really
that
shouldn't
looked
have
good.
filmed this video right before dinner. And Stockholm, it's a Scandinavian capital city. The people are just awesome. It's like this busy network of happy bees, just busy working. And it's like the Venice of the North because there are canals everywhere.
Hey,
And
I was
there's,
there.
I think over 100 different islands. There is an archipelago, just a short ferry ride away. And this is actually where a lot of locals spend their midsummer, unlike me,
Oh, yeah.
going and spending midsummer in Stockholm.
And see, I was a week too early for midsummer. I went the week before.
Midsummer, they say. Yeah. Come to Sweden, they say. It'll be sunny.
Why are my feet so... Why are they so dirty?
As I'm always traveling on a budget because I need to stretch it as much as I can with this peak project. Also, if we get to 100,000 subscribers, then I will go and climb the highest mountain in Greenland, which is part of the Kingdom of Denmark. Hit the subscribe button! I found that Stockholm is the most affordable, then Copenhagen, then Oslo. And that's taking into consideration the price of food, transport, and accommodation. Accommodation is the number one thing that you will spend your money on. If I were to redo...
Because I feel like that's another reason I had to stay in Stockholm an extra day because my budget, it was a little cheaper, like, because I stayed in a hostel, which I had no problem with first time in a hostel. That experience, that was a different experience for me. Almost just reminded me of college, but it was just different because I was in there in the room and I think people were from different countries. The room I shared with, I think it was different people, different countries. Nothing like, it wasn't all Swedes in there. At least I don't think. But Yeah, it was definitely cheaper.
Scandinavia for the very first time and only travel around for 1 month. This is the itinerary that I would follow. I would first fly into Copenhagen and then go north to North Jutland and experience wild Denmark.
We made it to the northernmost point of Denmark.
I would probably rent a car or ideally a camper van because there's a lot of really great nature reserves, cycling paths, surfing spots to see. I would cross over into Sweden, jump up to Gothenburg, and then go straight out to the archipelago. These islands are incredible.
Nice.
And if you have the chance to go camping on one or exploring their nature reserves, do it. Just don't get lost like I did.
I'm gonna go explore because I have no idea what is here.
And then I would go back to Gothenburg and use it as a rest day, or there's a lot of really cool things to do in the area depending on what you like to do. Then I would rent a bike and cycle along a really cool path in the south.
Wow, that long? That's a long path. Dang, this is honestly making me ready to book another trip, man.
You could cycle
continue
for
to put my passport
a couple days and then cycle back, whatever you want. Bring your tent or plan stops in specific villages.
I know how to put up a tent.
This would be a really great place. Or you could go into the Lake District. The idea is to make your way over to Stockholm. If you haven't had your fill of cities by then, I would spend at least 48 hours in Stockholm because it is a really cool capital city. And if you have time, pop over to the archipelago, or instead of the archipelago, go down to Gotland because it is seriously a hidden gem.
And that's
Don't
just
tell
a
anybody.
3-hour ferry. That's not
place.
We are in Visby in Gotland. I'm super
Dang,
excited.
that's
I've
nice.
had
That
almost
look
no
nice out
sleep
there.
all night, but I'm so stoked on life right now. I'm so stoked on Sweden right now.
And then back to Stockholm because Stockholm is
nice.
kind of a jumping off point to a lot of other places. I would say go to the north part of Sweden. This is where you can get a really cool adventure.
I love riding trains. Oh my gosh.
You can go out hiking for a few days if you'd like. You can climb the highest mountain, Kebnekaise.
We've got about 4 kilometers left. So we go around this, across the bridge, up.
You can explore
There's snow over
some
there.
cool mines in Kiruna and hopefully see some moose. If you see one, please take a picture and send it to me so I can show my partner. Then from there, I would actually go directly over to northern Norway. I would go to the islands for a few days. Probably Tromsø as well. From Tromsø, then I would fly down to Bergen. And Bergen is my favorite city in the whole world. It used to be Medellin in Colombia, but after seeing and experience what Bergen is, and it's not because of my last name, I just fell in love. It's a city that is surrounded by 7 mountains, has delicious food, tons of hiking trails. Come on, how cool is that?
It's like moments like this where I'm just so grateful to be alive. Norway really marks like a really special moment in my journey as well.
Anyways, there's a lot more to do in the area than just hiking. You can go on fjord cruises, but just pay attention to the times of day because they're not offered all the time. So I was not able to go on one myself. Then with the time left, either explore around Bergen or head deep into the mountains, maybe do one of these mountain hut
No, that is not. I know when I was on a boat tour, those things were selling out fast. I'm not gonna lie, those things sell out fast. Like I think I barely made it to one because somebody had just told me. I don't know if I posted my first video yet, or I think I was just posting pictures, and somebody was like, "Hey, go to the boat tour." So I'm like, "Okay, I'm going to the boat tour." Like it was like out of the blue type of thing, and they were like, "Hey, you just got the last ticket." I was like, "Can I do this time?" They were like, well, there's one more ticket left, and this is the last one. I'm like, okay, I got to do it. So
around Bergen.
Pretty cool.
Or
pretty
head
cool
deep into the
being on a
mountains.
boat.
Maybe do one of these mountain hut excursions or head to the southern tip of Norway before going back to Oslo. Of course, spend some time in Oslo. By this time, you'll probably be tired and it'll be a great city to be in because there are these beautiful saunas floating on the water next to the opera house, and you can have some delicious food to kind of recuperate from a whole month of amazing travels.
I will definitely have to come back.
It's amazing the things that you can learn when you travel. I think it's the best kind of education. And if you're a curious soul like me and you have yet to go to Scandinavia, I hope it teaches you and shares with you what it has with me. If you're one of the people who actually lives in one of these countries or a neighboring country in the Nordics, let me know your thoughts on this. If there's anything maybe I missed, a perspective that you would like to share, a story of yours you would like to share, I highly encourage it. I love reading all of your comments, getting to know you. Also, I do plan to go back to all 3 of these countries, so if you do have any recommendations, please let me know. You being here means the world to me, so thank you so much for your time, and I hope you got something out of this. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. If you'd like to support this YouTube channel, the Peak Project, and future videos, I do have a Patreon with an incredible community with like-minded people who love to adventure and travel. There are lots of exclusive benefits, different kinds of content, and really nice guides over there for you. So check it out if that's something that you're interested in. All of your contributions go directly back into the channel and funding this kind of content. And happy adventuring, and hope to see you in Scandinavia.
I like this. I like this, man. I might have to become a Patreon because I like this. This was real good. Definitely gonna subscribe. Yeah, I'm gonna become a Patreon, see if I can support her adventure, because that's pretty cool, just seeing that, man. Nah, that is nice. I really enjoyed this. Man, because it, like I said, this made me ready. I wish I would have seen it before I went. I went. What? This video was made in March, so yeah. I wish I would have caught this before I left and went. But it is what it is. I still had a good time. Now, going back another time, hey, it's going to be different. It's going to be different this time around, you know. But that's all I have for this video. Y'all make sure y'all subscribe to Natasha's channel as well. I just subscribed. Y'all hit that subscribe button on my end too. Send me some more video recommendations. That's all I have. Y'all be blessed, be the best, and be you. I'm out.